Broadcast Network. Here's Jason Martinez, Brian Smith, Chris Terrian.
That's right. How about a little Saturday night hockey at Wells Fargo Center? Playoff push. It's the Flyers and the Chicago Blackhawks come to town tonight. And our first look in person in Philadelphia at one Connor Bedard. And Bundy, you know, we go back to 2010 with the Blackhawks. They win the 3 cups, a dynasty, you call it modern-day NHL, but they are certainly in a rebuild now, but they do have a spectacle and a player in Connor Bedard.
They do, Jason. There's no doubt about it, and that's something to look forward to the future. But the future for the Chicago Blackhawks is not now, and it's probably not going to be for the remainder of this season or even the next couple. But they have a building block that it's going to attract a lot of free agents in time, and they will eventually turn the corner. But that day is not today. It's not tomorrow or next week, and that's why the Flyers tonight have to come out and just stomp this team tonight. Give them no life. They couldn't score a goal in Ottawa the other night. There's no reason that they should come in here feeling confident about anything that they do in their game tonight if the Flyers play the way that we've seen them play against teams like this.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things, Bundy, it was a little bit of a quiet game, if you will, a little bit of a low-energy game on both sides the other nights. And, Lord knows the Flyers tried. They had 2 goals called back and, things that go along with that. But you're right. Back here at home against these couple of teams that, they should be able to take care of here in the next couple of weekends. It's very important to get a couple points.
Yeah, and again, we talked the other day about, not taking teams lightly and to understand that it's all about the points at this time of the year and how the process is to get to them. So I think when you look at the Flyers, they've responded well in games like this, and they're going to have to respond coming off a bad loss in Montreal the other night. That's what's at hand here today. And Chicago, we know what that's going to look like. They're going to come out and they're going to play loose. They're going to try to play a skill game. They didn't score last game, so they're going to probably up the tempo a little bit. Flyers can't fall into that trap, and they have to worry about their own business, not about what Chicago does in this game here tonight.
Let me cite the world-renowned philosopher Yoda, Bundy, and go, do or do not. There is no try. That's my Yoda impression. You got to get the 2 points. That was pretty good, right? Trying ain't going to cut it. You got to get 2 points tonight.
Yeah,
trying. We're done trying.
Yeah, 1 point's no good. And like last Saturday, we've been pretty good on we said, let's go out and stomp on Boston last week. They did. It was a significant win. Didn't go great.
Enough's enough.
Enough is enough. Just coming in here and just running us over all the time. And so what was good, though, is that the Flyers have another opportunity to get back on it here. And it's like a playoff series, right? Like, in a way, it doesn't matter who you're playing. But if you take the Boston game, and that was the first game of a series, technically you're down 2-1 right now, right? If you're looking at a 7-game, that's the way I was doing, moving down the stretch, because it's like for 2 7-game series. So tonight's like game 4, and you got to tie the series, no matter who it is. It's not the Boston Bruins. It's Chicago, but that's the mentality you got to get yourself in. That's what I would do with 14 games left. I would play, if I were a coach, I would set the team up for 2 7-game series and see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad situation. They do the things in segments anyway. They'd have 5-game segments or 10-game segments. It's not a bad approach there over these last couple of weeks. But obviously the Flyers have the easiest schedule of all the teams remaining in the fight. But you almost wish they didn't know that. I assume they do know that, but you'd rather them just say, "Okay, we got to get out here and get it done every single night." And it starts tonight. The Islanders coming back on Monday are a better team than the one they're seeing tonight, and then they've still got some tough ones coming up, even though they may not be in playoff position.
No doubt. I mean, again, like the Islanders, that's a huge game for them Monday, but the Flyers can't worry about that right now. Tonight's the game, and like Jason said, like there's no other. It can't be anything but 2 points tonight. Anything if 1 point or a loss in this game tonight in regulation is an epic disaster of monumental proportions. I cannot tell you how bad this game would be to lose, because it can put you right on the. It could be the game that gets you hiccuped all the way to the end, and it could be a real nasty battle. If you win it and do what you're supposed to do, road gets a little easier. You put more pressure on other teams to win games. But this game tonight, again, a monumental chance against the worst team in hockey to get 2 points. That's all the mission is tonight. Get the win.
Yeah, no doubt. Bundy, from a coaching perspective, do you think they come in? Like, I look at Chicago from the new year until the 4th of March. They went on a stretch, 26 games where they went 4-19-3. They scored in those games 38 goals. They gave up 86. But in their last 11 games, they are 6-5. They've scored one less goal than they've let in. From a coaching standpoint, do you kind of draw on that and say, hey, this team is playing better? You better be ready to play because this team is playing better. They are 6-5 in their last 11. We can't look at their season in total. We got to look at what they are now, and they're playing better. That's just they're playing their best stretch of the season.
Well, and again, teams are going to take you lightly. They're not going to be as prepared for you. That's one of the obvious things, and so they're going to, they're going, oh, it's Chicago tonight. Maybe teams aren't ready, but that can't be really where you're at. Yeah, teams are going to play better. Like a team like Chicago that's been that brutal through the year, it's going to find a way to get some wins somehow. And the advantage they have is the fact that they just simply have nothing to play for. They're just going to go play, and that's what is most dangerous about the Blackhawks tonight. It's not the Bedard or the guy can beat you, 10 ways, but he's just a kid. It's if the Flyers are not prepared to play this game tonight and you take this team lightly, that's where you get in trouble. But I don't believe that this Flyers team is going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that they'd at least be aware of what the Blackhawks did to the Penguins last year. I mean, the Blackhawks altered the trajectory of the Penguins franchise last season by getting a win late in the game. So, it's certainly fresh on everybody's minds, you would hope, and that they could slip into that just as easily.
Well, I don't want to. I certainly don't want to recreate that scenario in my mind. It's a different one entirely. The Flyers have games left, and I don't want to say it's doom or gloom with a loss, but that was one last year where you lose a game like that to Chicago, you win and you make the playoffs. That forces you to make a lot of decisions, financial decisions, and then there's no doubt, Smitty, that is absolutely what happened in Pittsburgh. The Chicago Blackhawks ended the Penguins season like theirs was as bad as anybody's last year, and they did that. That's what the Flyers have to guard against here tonight. They're going to come in here, play light and loose, and the Flyers have to make sure that they don't fall into that trap and try to play like that.
We need a 30 for 30 on that game because it also allowed the Florida Panthers to get into the playoffs, knock the Toronto Maple Leafs out, and get Kyle Dubas fired. Kyle Dubas ends up in Pittsburgh. They didn't make the playoffs. Their GM got fired. He replaced the trickle-down effect is insane.
It is.
That one innocuous game. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the entire front office fired the next morning. They didn't even get 12 hours. And, I mean, they didn't. They didn't get 12 hours of any kind of that was it. You're gone. But, yeah, that actually great point, Jason. That should be an interesting 30 for 30 repercussions of a horrible loss, they should call it. How it reverberates.
And Chicago, because they get those points, ends up winning the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. And because Jonathan Taves missed that breakaway against the Flyers, they end up with it's just the whole thing. But anyway, it is the Flyers and the Blackhawks tonight. Bundy, there's a new guy in town. Let's talk about Ivan Fedotov because I got a chance to meet him yesterday. He addressed the media with Danny Briere yesterday. He is a monster.
Did you bring your ladder?
I'm telling you right now, if I interview him, I got to break out the cart.
Yeah.
The old Chris Pronger cart that I had to stand on because I don't have the arm length to get good audio from this guy.
You get you a stick. You can tie your microphone to a stick.
A boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Bundy, I don't know if you saw the picture the Flyers tweeted out of him at practice.
I've seen him, and I know he's 6'8". Like, he's just he looks like a string bean of just complete length. Like, I'm really interested to see what this guy's going to be like.
But when you see how big he is, it almost looks like the goal behind him was photoshopped to look smaller. I mean, geez, you see a guy like that, there's just not much net you can pot. We're not going to see him tonight. It's not an immediate thing, but the way that whole story played out, and I tell you, this Danny Briere is like a clandestine CIA operative. What he's been able to accomplish under cloak and dagger is incredible.
Yeah, he keeps things pretty quiet. And again, no one knew anything about that, but I think that that's kind of an organizational approach. They don't want leaks coming out, and I think that they've done a very good job of that, to be honest with you. People don't need to know all the time what's going on in the front office, and I think it's important because when some people hear something, everybody else gets their nose in there too, right? So I like that approach, and I know that it's their first year. Things may
It could
lose.
it could put things in peril from happening too, can't it, Bundy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about it. But no, I like the approach, and I'm really interested and curious to see the goaltender. Again, we hadn't heard anything about him all year. His name wasn't mentioned I didn't hear his name in my vocabulary after we thought he was deported to Siberia. And then, he's back here and he's ready to play. And here we have Kolosov coming over to get 2 Russian goalies. But Fedotov the older, right, 27. So,
yeah.
Again, Jace, you know 10 times more about goaltending than I do. And I'm excited to see a guy that's that big, covers that much space. I'd like to see how he looks against a guy like Vasilevsky, who's another very tall goaltender. I don't know. I don't watch KHL hockey, nor their goaltenders, or pay much attention to them. But I'm certainly he's interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
And who knows where this goes, right? Like, you just never know. If something happens to Urson, no one's saying it, but Fedotov's a goalie.
Yeah.
No matter, there's no
He's
one
the
else.
guy now.
He is, sure.
The other guys that had a shot at that squandered it.
That's
did. Back to the matter.
Yep.
Yeah,
right.
It's, in the grand scheme of things, it is a little bit of a precarious situation, especially this week. Jason, I made this better for you, but the fact that Felix Sandstrom is not here anymore, and that Fedotov is here in what I assume is his brand new equipment. Yeah, that's what he's wearing. So he doesn't have anything else. I mean, if he has to go in today, that would be a little bit of a hairy situation, would it not?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's in new gear because his old gear was approved by the NHL and Kay Whitmore.
Right. It might also be locked in a box somewhere in Russia.
Yeah. But as long as the skates and the jock came over, you're good to go. He'll be ready to go if he has to go into this game tonight. But there's a lot of adjustments. And look, he hasn't seen traffic around a net like he'll see in the NHL. I can guarantee you that. Bundy, you could have parked a lawn chair in front of the net and defended in the KHL.
Yeah, they don't play. They don't have a lot of the determination in front of the net, or
they don't even go there,
or real will to score goals from there. So, other than that, it's a great league, and love the high-end skill. No, but I'm joking with you alongside you. But no, I mean, it's not like the NHL. It's not. Yeah. It's not. There's not a lot of the net presence and stuff. You get a lot of shots and tip-in goals, but that will be the biggest adjustment.
Let's get our Photoshop experts on Bundy in a lawn chair parked in front of the net. Let's take a timeout.
Whoever put the beach ball behind Marty Biron, do that too.
Yeah, thank you. Let's take a timeout here on Flyers Game Day. It's the Flyers and the Blackhawks. We'll have line combinations, who's in, who's out, and much more as the Philadelphia Flyers take on the Chicago Blackhawks. We're back after this on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.
Yeah, I had a dial turned the wrong way here. That's why it was only coming out one ear.
No problem, Smithers. Jace, I'll be gone like around 6. Russ is alone with Meltzer, so just take me to the next break.
Off tonight, right? Yeah. You didn't get fired, right? I hope not. Have a seat. Enjoy yourself.
Various metals I can't pronounce. It's powered by Xfinity Mobile, so my family saves big. Take a handout.
Colin, what are these?
I'm quizzing the class in the material.
Switch to Xfinity Mobile and save hundreds a year with the best price for 2 lines of unlimited. Just $30 a line a month. Visit XfinityMobile.com to learn more. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Unlimited Intro Service and Xfinity Internet required. Taxes and fees extra. Reduced speeds after 20 gigabytes of usage. Data thresholds may vary.
This is the Fanatic Flyers pregame show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
We're back live at the Wells Fargo Center. Let's get set to take on the Chicago Blackhawks. And it's also tonight, Bundy, the return of Nick Seeler. Nick Seeler this season has had 3 games where he hasn't blocked a shot. It was the first 2 games of the year, Columbus and Ottawa. And then he had one other game where he did not block a shot. That was back on the 14th of December. He's got some games where he's got 7, 8 block shots in a single game. But to get him back in the lineup tonight, you get some relief on the way from a veteran defenseman. And this will be the first game, frankly, under his new contract. That'd be a big boost to the team because he's a spiritual leader.
He is. He's been he's extremely competitive, plays hard, competes hard. Well, definitely a welcome addition back in the lineup tonight. Plays good defense for the team, moves the puck pretty efficiently. I like Nick Seeler. Be good to have him back in there. I don't get too excited because he doesn't do anything wrong. But, nothing sexy either. He just does his job. And that's all you want to see from a guy like that.
It's always interesting to me sometimes when a guy like that goes out, how it has a bit of a domino effect. And a little bit different situation this time because he and Sean Walker left at essentially the same time. But, a lot of times when you see a defenseman or even a forward come out like that, even though he's not a flashy guy, all of a sudden it seems to mess up a bunch of other things. And, I don't know if you ever had an experience like that as a player or just maybe watching as a broadcaster, but every now and then it's just weird the way an absence can affect the rest of the lineup.
It does, especially Jason said, a spiritual leader is a good calling for actually Nick Seeler. I like that. You're just used to having a guy out there. You're used to having a certain way you feel with a guy like that out there. He'll be certainly welcome back on the ice tonight, and they're going to need him in a game like this here tonight with a team that's got a little bit of skill, young skill, but guys that are going to try to diddle around with the puck a little too much, and you're going to need a guy like that around in the defensive zone to let them know that it's going to be a tough night.
He's going to play alongside Eric Johnson tonight. Your D pairs, York and Sanheim, that remains together. Seeler comes in with Johnson, and he's going to have to get used to a new partner because he did play most of the season with Sean Walker Bundy. And obviously Eric Johnson is not the player that Sean Walker was. They approach the game far differently. Walker, get up the ice, you join the rush, start the rush. Defenseman Eric Johnson, and especially at this point in his career, is not that guy. So what is that adjustment like for him to come back in, not only get back in, get reacclimated to playing in the NHL, but also get reacclimated to a partner, but one that maybe is a little bit more predictable in nature?
Yeah, you know what? It could be a good thing for Seeler. I know Eric Johnson is, it's a guy, you think back at Eric Johnson, he went first overall in his draft, right? Was it 06 or something like that? And
exactly.
So, we've had a very St. Louis blue pick, and then he ended up getting moved. But
attacked by a golf cart.
That's right. Yeah, the golf cart guy. Got to watch golf carts, but especially when you're driving them yourself. Yes. So anyway, but he's been a good player. He was a very big part of Colorado. And he slipped a little bit at the end, but he'd been there for so long and deserved to be there as one of their leaders. But I would be fine playing with Eric Johnson. Like if I got said, like that's great. He knows where you got to be on the ice. He's more physically limited because he's played a lot of games over the years. But I think it's actually a good spot for Nick Seeler. He can actually kind of take charge of that pair and be aggressive. And knowing that you have a veteran back there that understands covering up for you in any situation. So I do like that pair, believe it or not. I do.
And I think one of the interesting things that we'll see tonight is how Adam Ginning plays with Yegor Zamula, because, again, we've seen him and, between him and Seeler, we've seen them play together and perhaps be at their best. And, now tonight he's going to have a different partner. So, again, that's something he's going to need to do is figure out the versatility to play with other guys to stay in the NHL. But tonight will be a first look at it.
No doubt about it, and I think that is key, being able to find ways to adapt to every player that you're tossing the lineup with. And again, obviously with the inning tonight, they took him out to play with Zamula. Adam is not playing, so this is a situation where he's got a leg up on that guy in terms of where they see him, and it's a matter of taking advantage of these situations. I don't think Giddings played that bad. He's done okay. He's kept it pretty simple, and I think that's all you want to see from a guy like that. But at the same time, too. Don't be afraid to take the bull by the horns. If you got an opportunity to get up the ice, get up the ice. Get to play safe, even though that's what a lot of the, they don't want. He doesn't want to get himself in trouble on an offensive side of the puck where they come back and score. But I think the Flyers will be fine. I think the Seeler will inject a little bit of energy into that team tonight, I think it'll be fine. I think it's a perfect game for the Flyers to have teed up tonight, Brian and Jason, after the Montreal game. It's perfectly designed for it.
You think they go with Ginning in this game because he has a little less risk to his game, Bundy? And this one, you get Sealer back, and it looks like Zamula moved to the right side, but you have Ginning in there as opposed to Adder, because there's a little risk to Adder's game at times, but there's a little less of that, a little more predictability when it comes to Ginning.
That is correct. Yeah, and again, both guys, are trying to learn on the fly, but I think that's a fair assessment, Jason. I don't, no doubt about it.
Yeah, coaches like to control it. Let's take our last time out. There are changes up front as well. We'll tell you about those when we return as the Flyers get set to take on the Chicago Blackhawks. It's the first visit of Connor Bedard to Philadelphia. We'll have all the starting lineups and line combinations for you coming up. You're listening to Flyers Game Day on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.
All the action on the ice giving you the chills? Break away to the hottest game in town, Delilah's. Let the world's most
Who's in, who's out?
warm you
Atkinson
up.
out
You
again,
play
I'm
the game
sure.
on Delilah's giant video wall. Or skate in after the game. Your ticket stub gives you free admission. Ready for a real power play? Head to Delilah's. Voted America's #1 gentleman's club. Just off Delaware Avenue and just out of this world. Delilah's, where box checking is a way
Gurianos in.
Details now at delilahs.com.
Yeah,
Tippett, Frost, connecting. Forster, Paling, Hathaway.
Gurianov is in for Licksell.
Yeah. Farabee, Lawton, Brink, Cates, Couturier, Guriano.
Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
Last spot, 30 seconds.
Healthcare providers will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription fee.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper, and you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
This is the Fanatic Flyers pregame show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Flyers and Chicago Blackhawks from Wells Fargo Center as the stretch run is here. The Flyers have played 74 games, 8 remaining. Tonight it's the Chicago Blackhawks. Flyers 82 points in those 74 games, and they are sitting just 1 point up on the Caps, who are wild card number 2 as we speak. But the Caps have 2 games in hand. Detroit got a point earlier today. They're now at 80, so they're 2 back, and they've played the same amount of games as the Flyers. Bundy, 8 games remaining. It is the stretch drive. I know probably as a player you're going, all right, now we're finally kind of out of the dog days of the season. There's another adrenaline, another gear that kicks in this time of year, especially given this situation. But to try and treat it still with the same diligence, professional, and detail that you do any other game, because you got to be effective and come away with the 2 points.
You do, and everybody thinks it's going to be a layup, and it's not always a layup. You have to be ready to play, to do the smart, responsible things with the puck. The only way a team like Chicago beats you tonight is if you play stupid. And if you play stupid, you'll give them a chance. It doesn't mean they're going to win.
Yeah.
You're going to help them, right? That's the only way. If you're going to do that, give them the puck because you're trying to do too much because it's the Chicago Blackhawks, well, then shame on you. Because you can't have put all the work in this year to get to a point like this in one of the most meaningful game of the year and lose against a team as bad as Chicago. It can't happen. So you got to come out the Flyers and absolutely hammer this team early. Let them know what kind of night it is. You're not going to win the game in the first 5 minutes. You're not going to lose it either. Other teams, you might say that if you give up the first goal. But you could certainly assert yourself to what you want to do in the kind of game that you want to play tonight. And that's something you have control over no matter what, every single time the puck drops.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at just the timing of everything here, it's one of those situations where the Flyers have had not as much luck at home this year as they have on the road. This is the time to figure it out, too. I mean, regardless of who you're playing. But, you're not – you do get to the playoffs. You're not going to get very far if you're not playing well at home is what it comes down to. Because the road games are going to be just, completely different atmospheres than what they've been during the regular season. So, it's just part of this team's growth, I think, at this point.
It is, and getting better. Being a good home team is sometimes a challenge. I always say it's not a big deal to win on the road anymore in any league. I mean, you can go to Game 7, right? You could stamp it 30, 40 years ago that the Game 7, the home team would win almost every time. Now it's not like that at all. You can go on, like I say it all the time, home ice to me is the most overrated thing in all of sports. Doesn't mean anything. A road team can go win a game as easy on the road. Now, that's not a shot at any group's fan base or anything. I'm just telling you, guys, don't. The appearance of being this really awful place to play anymore, there's no buildings like that in the league. They're so big now that the noise is muted. You go out and play. There's not a lot of hostile places. Philadelphia is probably as bad as it gets when the building is super loud and emotional. But even then, it's not a mission impossible like it used to be for many, many teams.
Bundy, when this game tonight, it's obviously a big game. There is only 8 remaining in the season, and you're in this situation. You've parked yourself in this playoff spot. I mean, we're here. This is the last game of the month of March.
Yeah.
The regular season ends on the 16th of April. You just don't want to put you're there all year. You don't want to have this slip through your fingers at the goal line, for goodness sake. I mean, to your point before, I think it's like you go back to your high school dating day, or your college dating days, where you bring your date in. Let me set the mood lighting, right? Let's set the mood lighting that we're in ill humor tonight. You want to let Chicago know that on the first shift that everybody touches their skates on the ice. Let's set a little mood lighting.
Quite the analogy.
That is a beautiful analogy.
Some mood lighting.
Well, the mood lighting tonight is a soft dump in the corner, and it go right in after the puck. Boom. Yeah. That's how you set the mood here tonight.
You've always loved a soft dump in the corner.
That's yeah.
Except for when you had to go get it.
Yeah. Yes, sir. One never gets old.
Hey, you remember the Flyers beat the Blackhawks 26 straight years here?
Let's get to
that one game.
Yeah, except for the one game.
Jonathan, it's funny. Jonathan, was it last year? Jonathan Toews was here. He was unbelievable in that game. Yeah. Like it looked like it was a throwback, and I think that might have been his last great game in the league.
Maybe,
yeah. The other lineup change tonight is that Cam Atkinson comes out and Gurianov comes back in. He will play alongside Sean Couturier. Noah Cates also returns for the Flyers in this game. He missed the last one for personal reasons, but Gurianov's got a lot to prove, and this is another opportunity for him. And what's a very important game, and to play with Couturier and Cates, you think that would maybe unleash him a little bit, Bundy, to be able to attack from an offensive standpoint?
Absolutely. Sorry, Jason, I got tied up there with just someone come by for a handshake.
That guy looked like he saw like a beetle, one of the Beatles or something when he walked by you.
It's not a beetle.
And that ain't Ringo.
No, it's no beetle here.
He was amazed.
Yeah, Jace, I don't give him grab me out. You talk about Gurianov or
yeah, to be able to push the offense a little bit.
Just get in there and go up and down the wing, get the puck to the front of the net, and make life tough on the team. He's got an opportunity to salvage his career here, but every shift and every period in game he plays, he's got to make a mark, and he has yet to do that. He's got another opportunity tonight.
And again, you talked about everything on the line here in these last 8 games, Bundy, and this is exactly where Keith and Danny and Torts wanted this team to be. It was playing these meaningful games. So now they have a secondary goal is to make them count.
Absolutely. And again, it doesn't matter that it's Chicago. It's where they are in the schedule, and it's your responsibility for a team that's gotten themselves to this point to go out and nail down this 2 points. And it's a huge 2 points. It really, really is. It almost looks too easy, and I'm hoping it doesn't seem like that, but this is a monster game for the Flyers.
Paling will play with Forster and Hathaway, Frost, Tippett, and Konechny, Lawton, Farabee, and Brink. Sam Ersson gets the start versus Soderblom for the Chicago Blackhawks. All right, stay tuned. We've got Tim Saunders. We've got Todd Fedoruk. We got the countdown to face-off as the Flyers get set to take on the Chicago Blackhawks. Final 8 games. Stretch run. The push for the playoffs is on. You've been listening to Flyers Game Day on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.